Hello and welcome to the August 31st, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. Hello everybody! Hello Becky, hello Julie, hello Dirty Rogue! Hello everyone that is showing up. I am so happy to have you all with us tonight. Or if you're catching the replay live on, the replay on the YouTube page, that is absolutely fine. We enjoy every little bit of everybody checking out our Good Hope Core content. So, hello Nico, hello Becky. All right, let us get into our news brew for the night. This is going to be a good one. This is a celebration episode of sorts. More on that in the shout-outs to come. Producer Donna has provided nothing but wins, so we are going to crack open Crème Brew-Lée. And let's see if we can get the camera to zoom in on that. It's going to be a little bright just because of the gold on white, but Crème Brew-Lée from Beau's Brewing Company. This is a 6% ABV dessert stout, and it is brewed with burnt sugar and vanilla, and it hopes to hit that perfect dessert feel to cap off any great evening. So, Julie says her mouth is healing okay. Fantastic to hear, Julie. Julie recently went through a major surgery. Julie is apparently doing very well and is on the mend. So, Julie, we are very happy to hear that. Now, this is a stout, so we are going to use our our special edition harpoon snifter. And we'll get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. We, once again, are bottleless. We are into cans, so we don't need the Balisong bottle opener. So we'll blow the gain on the audio. It's good crack. Oh, lordy, the smell on this. Let's get into the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. Straight pour, get that gas out. Little thinner of a stout, sort of a brownish color as opposed to the motor oil black we tend to drink on this show. Very carbonated. That is all going to escape this beer and not go into me. Wow. There's something good in that glass. Wow. That's going to be a good one. All right, shout-outs. These beautiful summer days are going to start winding down. It's a lovely time to get out of the house and enjoy the warm days before we move into fall. Fox and Hen Winery is the place to be for fine wine or cider, a beautiful setting, and delightful company. Fox and Hen is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale. Specializing in small batch wines and ciders, they reflect the Lake Michigan climate. Check them out Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. I tend to be there Fridays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., so if you swing on over there around that time, you might catch me having some great wine or fantastic cider. To Fox and Hen, cheers. Ho ho ho, Producer Donna! You have given me nothing but amazing beer. Holy crap, that is a dessert in a glass. Wow. Ooh, just the right amount of booziness, and there's a little bite to it. I mean, for 6%, it drinks really well. The sugar and the vanilla, dessert, pure dessert. Nick's Newsies. Lend me your cats, your dogs, your pet friends of the non-furry variety. We have, for the most part, run out of pet friends to feature on our Tuesday posts of Nick's Newsies Flora and Fauna. We have plenty of flora. I think right now we're through December, we're into December on flora, but we are running short on fauna. We don't have enough to see ourselves through the year. By all means, if you have a pet friend that you'd like to show off, and believe me, we all have reasons to show off our pet friends, message us on Facebook or Discord. You can message Producer Donna on Discord, or you can message the Nick's News Facebook page on YouTube or on Facebook. Actually, you can message us pretty much anywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. I think you can message us on YouTube, or you could post a comment that you have a pet friend, and we will get back to you. Producer Donna worked up an amazing template that we use for you to provide some information that we can post, and we can basically just show off our pet friends and talk about them. So we would love to talk about your pet friends. If you send them in, by all means, we will debut them on Tuesday editions of Nick's Newsies Flora and Fauna. To everyone that has sent in a pet so far, and to anyone thinking about doing so, cheers. Becky just got a new cat. Julie is converting the Cove, her home, into fall mode. Fantastic. Friday the 29th. Okay, let's get into the celebration thing that we mentioned. So this is really cool. Friday the 29th of August marked the 9-year anniversary of Nick's News. We didn't do anything big, we didn't do anything crazy and grand. It's just really cool to see that we have been doing this for 9 years. Now, we've come a long way from the original chat and chill style, the format that I started Nick's News with. And a lot of that change has been happening in the past 2 years. Nick's News has started to blow up. And we are so thankful for that. Thanks to mostly producer Donna, and all of you, the Nick's Newsies. So we thank you all, especially the Nick's Newsies, and I am especially thanking producer Donna for taking the journey with us and for being patient as we've spread our wings and really started to try new things here on Nick's News, be it the YouTube page, be it new Facebook posts that we do, shout outs, and TikTok, Instagram, basically just all these new things that we're doing. Y'all have been with us for 9 years, and we hope to keep having you, keep providing you with good news to counter all that bad news. So here's to another good year of good friends, good beer, and good news. Cheers. When producer Donna reminded me that this episode we would be like at the 9-year mark, I really was blown away. I was surprised that I forgot that the anniversary was the 29th of August, and even after, at the end of last year, we had an episode where we talked about it. It just was out of my mind. So when she reminded me, I was like, my gosh, 9 years? And this format works. Yep, producer Donna sent the shorts, the meetups, the merchandise. Like, we have more to come, too. There's still more we're going to do, and we're going to keep, with your help, we're going to keep growing this. News quote: most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. That is from Dale Carnegie, who lived from 1888 to 1955 and was an American writer and teacher of courses in self-improvement, salesmanship, corporate training, public speaking, and interpersonal skills. And I really like that quote when you think about it. With everything going on, we can really feel beat down. And maybe there's something you've wanted to do, but the way the world is, it's not really conducive to that thought or that dream. And you've been discouraged a little bit. But don't forget, like with everything that's happened around us, all the good things that have happened around us especially, most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. From Dale Carnegie. Cheers. Bug update: the bulldozer that is Elmira Hug and Kiss has halted her construction on new burrows, finally. Her water dish is almost permanently filled with dirt. It's not a habit that I'm going to be able to break. It's a bug. She's just pre-built to bury her water dish for some reason. I don't know why. Whatever. I'll get a picture of before and after. It's a mess. It's so sad from what I built up while she was asleep. She has just destroyed it and turned it into a wasteland. Ripley is a very content little scuttler. I'll try to get an image or two of Ripley on the Instagram. It's really cool. Ripley, as I explained before, especially in the rehousing, she's got these two antenniform legs. So she's mostly blind. So she's got these two little legs that she uses to feel her world around her to get around safely. And they're very long. They're extremely long. And in the old home she was in, that tiny little terrarium, she could never really stretch out. Well, now she has the room to stretch, and she can almost touch the sides of a 12-inch wide vivarium with her antenniform legs. So I'll try to get a picture of her with those outstretched one night. Hey, Charlie. Last but not least is Sue. I managed to catch sight of Sue out of his burrow. And then, before I could get the phone up, he went darting back in. He is big, he is quick, and he is still incredibly shy. I am still hoping on one of these episodes, in that vivarium right there, he will come wandering out for you all to see, because he is a big boy. But we'll see, won't we? You shy little bastard. Alright. Let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that we like to end on. So we are going to start off in category 1, science and technology. We have 2 articles to go over here, and we called this first one, Recycle, Reuse, Resupply the Front Lines. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Oops. There we go. Come on. There we go. Volunteers repurpose vapes to power Ukrainian drones. This was published to the BBC on the 24th of August by Joseph Rainbow. Disposable vapes are being repurposed into power banks and sent to the Ukrainian front lines. Volunteers at Leeds Ukrainian Community Association, or the LUCA, recycle components, such as batteries and wires, from the discarded vapes to send to Ukraine to be turned into energy sources for soldiers in remote locations. The recycled components are used to power drones, phones, and night vision devices in the trenches. Vyacheslav Semyoniuk, LUCA trustee, let me try that name again. Vyacheslav Semyoniuk. Vyacheslav Semyoniuk, an LUCA trustee, said the repurposed vapes are used as a light source and in cooking, adding this is sometimes the only source of power. Earlier this year, a ban on the sale of single-use vapes was introduced into the UK to address environmental concerns and to protect children's health. It is estimated 8.2 million vapes were being thrown away every week prior to the ban in the UK. It is a creative way to use the vapes, said Mr. Semyoniuk. We crack open the vape and pull out the battery, isolate the wires, and pack them into boxes. Volunteers in the Ukraine turn the dismantled disposables from LUCA into working energy supplies for soldiers. If we can utilize whatever is not needed anymore and make it for free, why not? Said Mr. Semyoniuk. The 42-year-old, who has lived in the UK for more than a decade, told the BBC it was hard to watch the war unfold from his adopted home in Leeds. I feel some kind of guilt that I am not there, fighting on the front line, but I cannot leave my family here. My daughter's godfather died fighting last year. He was my best friend from kindergarten, so it is really difficult being here. That is why I do what I do. Since 2014, the LUCA has worked to support expats living in and around Leeds, promoting Ukrainian language, culture, and heritage. But Mr. Semyoniuk said the scale of their work has increased massively since Russia's invasion began in February of 2022. As well as donating clothing and essentials to those fleeing the conflict, the charity has hosted concerts, barbecues, and Ukrainian film screenings as part of its fundraising efforts. We are here for refugees, whether they need help or want to talk. At the start of the war, we were focused on helping Ukrainians abroad and in Leeds, but now most of our efforts go towards supporting those in the country. More volunteers are needed to help recycle the donated vapes, according to the association. Usually it is just 2 or 3 people doing this, explained Mr. Semenyuk. I have spent hours sitting at home with my daughter, cracking the vapes and pulling out the batteries. He said he was pleased to make a contribution. This has been ongoing for years, and we are not stopping. We will keep going. That is amazing. To everybody involved with the LUCA, the Leeds Ukrainian Community Association, and Mr. Vyacheslav Semenyuk for working on this project to take vape batteries and send them to the front lines in Ukraine so soldiers have power sources. Cheers. Oh, that beer is good. We called this next one, Sun Wukong Isn't Just a Video Game. We'll copy and paste this into the chat if you all want to read along. China's Darwin monkey is the world's largest brain-inspired supercomputer. This was published to Live Science on August 28th of 2025 by Owen Hughes. Scientists in China have unveiled a supercomputer built on brain-like architecture, specifically that of a monkey. Called Darwin Monkey, or Wukong, the system features over 2 billion artificial neurons and more than 100 billion synapses, putting it roughly on par with the neural structure of a macaque. The researchers hope it will serve as a simulation tool for neuroscientists, while also providing a stepping stone towards artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which is an artificial intelligence system that possesses human-like intelligence and reasoning. Right now, all we have is machine learning algorithms. I'm going to fight people on this later. Unlike traditional artificial neural networks, which follow classical computing principles and process data via continuously changing binary values, neuromorphic systems like Darwin Monkey are driven by spiking neural networks, or SNNs. SNNs mimic how signals are transmitted between neurons in the brains of mammals, responding to electrical signals to process and transmit data through on and off bursts or spikes of activity. A biological neuron fires an electrical pulse when the signals it receives from other neurons reach a level strong enough to trigger a response. Becky posts, ding ding, round 1, fight. Yep. Artificial neurons in SNNs, mimic this mechanism, firing only when they've built up enough electrical input. Where software-based neural networks are a collection of machine learning algorithms arranged to emulate the human brain, SNNs physically replicate the way information moves between biological neurons. This configuration allows SNNs to process data in parallel, potentially making them more powerful than conventional supercomputer architecture. This is really cool. It may also be more energy efficient. Artificial neurons enter a brief rest period after each spike, during which they can't respond to new inputs. This limits how often they fire, helping to reduce overall power consumption. Donna said, he's dying to rant about AI. Becky says you can see it in his eyes. Don't worry, folks. It's coming. Researchers say Darwin Monkey consumes just 2,000 watts of power, roughly the equivalent of an electric kettle or a hairdryer, despite being powered by 960 Darwin 3 neuromorphic chips, each of which supports up to 2.35 million spiking neurons. The previous record holder for neuromorphic computing was Intel's Hala Point system, which comprises 1.15 billion artificial neurons and 128 billion artificial synapses distributed over 140,544 processing cores. SNNs like M&Ms, says Julie. Intel claims its system is capable of performing 20 quadrillion operations per second, or 20 petaops. But as there are very few neuromorphic computers currently in existence, and as they process data differently from supercomputers, it's difficult to compare them on a like-for-like basis. In a statement translated into English using Google Translate, because that's how far we've come, The team behind Darwin Monkey said the platform had already demonstrated its capabilities in cognitive tasks such as logical reasoning, content generation, and mathematical problem solving, using an AI model, it's not AI, developed by Chinese AI startup DeepSeek. The system is also being used to simulate the brains of animals with varying levels of neural complexity, including zebrafish and mice, as part of broader efforts to support brain science research. Darwin Monkey was designed by researchers at Zhejiang University and Zhejiang Lab, a research institute jointly established by the Zhejiang provincial government and Alibaba Group, a Chinese technology conglomerate. It follows the launch of Darwin Mouse, or Mickey, in September of 2020, which contains 120 million artificial neurons, the equivalent of a mouse's brain. It is really cool, but it's not AI. I hate the buzzword at this point. So, to everybody working on China's Darwin Monkey, aka Wukong, a brain-inspired supercomputer. Cheers. I'm gonna get on my soapbox at some point. Alright, that gets us out of science and technology. We're gonna move on to category 2, health and medicine. Mona said they are large language models, machine learning algorithms, machine language models, large language models. That's what they are. Thank you, Mona. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to get into category 2, health and medicine. We've got one article to go over in here, and we called it, "We Are Smart Enough to Do Away with Opioids." And I am going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Becky says, popping the popcorn as we speak. The end of opioids. New drug could change the way we treat severe pain. This was published to SciTech Daily on August 28th of 2025 by the Kyoto University. The discovery of a new painkiller offers relief with fewer side effects. Mona says, my brother is a computer nerd and he told me about what it actually is. Good. He needs to spread the word. Morphine and other opioids are commonly used in medicine because of their strong ability to relieve pain. Yet they also pose significant risks, including respiratory depression and drug dependence. To limit these dangers, Japan enforces strict rules that allow only specially authorized physicians to prescribe such medications. In contrast, the United States saw widespread prescribing of the opioid Oxycontin, which fueled the rise in the misuse of synthetic opioids like fentanyl. By 2023, deaths from opioids overdoses had exceeded 80,000, marking the escalation of a nationwide public health emergency now known as the opioid crisis. Opioids, though, may soon face competition, and good for it. Researchers at Kyoto University have identified a new analgesic that they've named Adriana that provides pain relief through a completely different biological pathway. The drug is now moving through clinical development as part of an international research collaboration. If successfully commercialized, Adriana would offer a new pain management option that does not rely on opioids, contributing significantly to the reduction of opioid use in clinical settings, says corresponding author Masatoshi Hajiwara, a specially appointed professor at Kyoto University. The researchers drew their initial inspiration from compounds that imitate noradrenaline, a chemical released during life-threatening situations that activates the alpha-2A adrenoceptors to reduce pain. So when you think of like your fight or flight, you're not just having adrenaline dumped into you, you're also having noradrenaline dumped into you. And what noradrenaline does is it turns off your pain, your sense of pain. So whether you be in fight mode or flight mode, you're going to be able to do some stuff. The team proposed that selectively blocking alpha 2b adrenoreceptors could increase noradrenaline activity, stimulate alpha 2a adrenoceptors, and provide pain relief without triggering cardiovascular instability. To test this idea, the scientists used a specialized method called the TGF alpha shedding assay, which allowed them to measure the function of different alpha 2 adrenoceptor subtypes. Through compound screening, they succeeded in identifying the world's first selective alpha 2b adrenoceptor antagonist, something that's going to activate that alpha 2b adrenoceptor, something that's going to kick it off and kick off the pain reduction system, basically the I'm not going to feel pain today system. After success in administering the compound to mice and conducting non-clinical studies to assess its safety, physician-led clinical trials were conducted at Kyoto University Hospital. Both the Phase 1 trial in healthy volunteers and the Phase 2 trial in patients with post-operative pain following lung cancer surgery yielded highly promising results. Building on these outcomes, preparations are now underway for a large-scale Phase 2 clinical trial in the United States, in collaboration with BTB Therapeutics, Incorporated, a Kyoto University-originated venture company. As Japan's first non-opioid analgesic, Adriana has the potential not only to relieve severe pain for patients worldwide, but could also play a meaningful role in addressing the opioid crisis, a pressing social issue in the United States, and thus contribute to international public health efforts. We aim to evaluate the analgesic effects of Adriana across various types of pain and ultimately make this treatment accessible to a broader population of patients suffering from chronic pain, says Hajiwara. There is a link to the article where it's posted, Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. The title there, if you want to look it up, is Discovery and Development of an Oral Analgesic Targeting the Alpha 2B Adrenoceptor. So even better, it's an oral analgesic. It's a pill, just like other pain medication. It's not a shot. It's actually a pill they were testing. This is bonkers. Becky says, when I had my hip replacement, they prescribed Oxy, but I hated them. Producer Donna is very happy we're getting other options, so is Becky. Back when I had a major surgery, I got prescribed Norco and found it to be just completely useless. If we can get away from opioids with literally anything else, I am all for it. So this is really cool. To everybody involved at the Kyoto University and with... where's his name? Masatoshi Hajiwara and their work on getting into larger phase 2 clinical trials for a non-opioid pain relief system. Cheers. All right, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna. I almost said science and technology again. Flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. Nico said, didn't have a great experience with opioids. Glad they exist for those who need them, but glad we are finding other options too. I agree, Nico. All right, flora and fauna, plants and animals. We got one article in here. Ribbit, 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 croak. See Nick's rant for translation, because I'm a rant. Thanks, Eliza, for this article. I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along and experience my meltdown. Hope you got your popcorn ready, because this is going to be it. The call of a native frog is heard again in Southern California, thanks to help from Mexico and AI. Mona says, opioids were the only things that helped with when I had gallstone issues. Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that, Mona. This was published to AP News on August 27th of 2025 by Julie Watson. Becky says, hugs before you go berserk. The scientist traipses to a pond wearing rubber boots, but he doesn't enter the water. Instead, Brad Hollingsworth squats next to its swampy edge and retrieves a recording device the size of a deck of cards. He then opens it up and removes a tiny memory card containing 18 hours of sound. Julie says, is Nick about to get froggy? Tim says Nick's got that twitch. Producer Donna says, well, if he breaks, at least it was an anniversary show. Here we go. Oh boy. Back at his office at the San Diego Natural History Museum, the herpetologist, an expert in reptiles and amphibians, uses artificial intelligence to analyze the data on the card. Within 3 minutes, he knows a host of animals visited the pond, where native red-legged frogs were reintroduced after largely disappearing in Southern California. For those that don't know, California is actually my birth state. There were owl hoots, woodpecker pecks, coyote howls, and tree frog ribbits, but no croaking from the invasive bullfrog, which has decimated the native red-legged frog population over the past century. It was another good day in his efforts to increase the population of the red-legged frog and restore an ecosystem spanning the U.S.-Mexico border. The efforts come as the Trump administration builds more walls along the border, raising concerns about the impact on wildlife. Julie says he is cracking and about to jump. At 2 to 5 inches long, or 5 to 13 centimeters for folks who haven't landed people on the moon yet, red-legged frogs are the largest native frogs in the West, and once were found in abundance up and down the California coast and into Baja California in Mexico. The species is widely believed to be the star of Mark Twain's 1865 short story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. And their crimson hind legs were eaten during the gold rush. But as the red-legged frogs declined in numbers, the bullfrog, with its even bigger hind legs, was introduced to menus during California's booming growth in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The red-legged frog population was decimated by the insatiable appetite of the bullfrogs and the disease the non-native species brought in, but also because it lost much of its habitat to drought and human development in the shape of homes, dams, and more. Hollingsworth couldn't estimate the number of red-legged frogs that remain, but said they have disappeared from 95% of their historical range in Southern California. Robert Fisher of the U.S. Geological Survey's Amphibian Research and Monitoring Initiative program searched for the frog for decades across some 250 miles, or once again 400 kilometers for people who haven't landed people on the moon successfully, from Los Angeles to the border. He found just one in 2001 and none after that. Scientists using DNA from red-legged frogs captured in Southern California before their disappearance discovered they were more genetically similar to the population in Mexico than any still in California. In 2006, Fisher, Hollingsworth, and others visited Baja, where they had heard of a small population of red-legged frogs. Annie Peralta, then a student of Hollingsworth at San Diego State University, joined them. They found about 20 frogs, and Peralta was inspired to dedicate her life to their recovery. Mona says we have to get more articles with engineers in them. I agree. Peralta and her husband established the nonprofit Fauna del Noreste in Ensenada, Mexico, which aims to... so the nonprofit is called Fauna del Noreste. Fauna del Noroeste, and it's located in Ensenada, Mexico, which aims to promote the proper management of natural resources. In 2018, they started building ponds in Mexico to boost the frog population that would later provide eggs to repopulate the species across the border. But just as they were preparing to relocate the egg masses, the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Peralta and the U.S. scientists scrambled to secure permits for their unusual cargo and a pilot to fly the 2 coolers of frog eggs closer to the border. The rest of their journey north was by road after the eggs passed a U.S. border guard inspection. Over the past 5 years, Hollingsworth and his team have searched for sounds to prove their efforts to repopulate ponds in Southern California worked. On January 30th, he heard the quiet, distinct grunting of the red-legged frog's breeding call in an audio flagged by AI. It's not AI. It felt like a big burden off my shoulder, because we were thinking the project might be failing, Hollingsworth said. And then the next couple nights, we started hearing more and more and more and more. Over the next 2 months, two males were heard belting it out on microphone 11 at one of the ponds. In March, right below the microphone, the first egg mass was found, showing they had not only hatched from the eggs brought from Mexico, but had gone on to produce their own eggs in the United States. Mona says, last night I actually heard frogs in the neighborhood. Haven't heard them for years. That's awesome, Mona. Conservationists are increasingly turning to artificial intelligence, which it's not, again, to monitor animals on the brink of extinction, track the breeding of reintroduced species, and collect data on the impact of climate change and other threats. Herpetologists are building on the AI-powered tools already used to analyze data sets of bird sounds, hoping that it might help build audio landscapes to identify amphibians and track their behavior and breeding patterns, said Zachary Princip of the Nature Conservancy, which is working with the museum on the Red-Legged Frog Project. The tools could also help scientists analyze tens of thousands of audio files collected at universities, museums, and other institutions. Becky asks, how's that beer tasting? It's tasting great. Charlie says, my backyard is crazy loud with frogs, especially right now. That is awesome. Scientists working to restore the red-legged frog population in Southern California hope to soon be provided with satellite technology that will send audio recordings to their phones in real time, so they can act immediately if any predators, in particular bullfrogs, are detected. It could also help track the movement of the frogs, which can be difficult to find in the wild, especially because cold-blooded creatures cannot be detected using thermal imagery. The not AI analysis of the pond audio has saved time for Hollingsworth and the others, who previously had to painstakingly listen to countless hours of audio files to detect the calls of the red-legged frog, which resembles the sound of a thumb being rubbed on a balloon over the cacophony of other animals. Riley says, love the frog content. Joe says, it's weird seeing a mental breakdown in real time. I'm literally, y'all are watching me have an aneurysm right now. The death of a news host is going to be the title of this one when it goes up on YouTube. There's tree frogs calling, there's cows mooing, a road nearby with a motorcycle zooming back and forth, Hollingsworth said, of the pond's audio landscape. There's owls, there's ducks splashing, just all this noise. The red-legged frog is the latest species to see success from binational cooperation along the near 2,000 or 3,200 kilometer border spanning California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Over the years, Mexican gray wolves have returned to their historic range in the southwestern U.S. and Mexico, while the California condor now soars over skies from Baja to Northern California. Based off the latest count, scientists estimate more than 100 adult red-legged frogs are in the Southern California ponds, and tadpoles were spotted at a new site. The team plans to continue transporting egg masses from Baja, where the population has jumped from 20 to as many as 400 adult frogs, with the hope of building thriving populations on both sides of the border. Already the sites are seeing fewer mosquitoes that can carry diseases like dengue fever and Zika. A restoration pond in Baja that Peralta's organization built recently teemed with froglets, their tiny eyes bobbing on its aquatic fern-covered surface. They could, one day, lay eggs for relocation in the U.S. They don't know about borders or visas or passports, Peralta said of the frogs. This is just their habitat, and these populations need to reconnect. I think this shows that we can restore this ecosystem. To everybody involved with restoring habitat and relocating the red-legged frog back to its original breeding grounds and expanding its border or its territory and its numbers. And to Eliza, for sending in that article. Cheers. We can have more frog content. We just don't need more AI content. Take a big drink, Nick, said Becky. Yes, as I lose my mind. All right, that gets us out of flora and fauna. We're going to move on to category 4, wholesome notes. We've got 2 amazing articles here. These are the articles we like to end on. More engineering content, says Dirty Rogue. If you find some, send it in. We always love submissions by you, the Knicks Newsies. Like, anything y'all find that's good news, is up to date, if it's recent too, that's even better. But anything y'all find, message us. You can message us here on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can message us pretty much everywhere. Send those articles to us. If it's a Facebook article, don't send the Facebook article. Go to the article that's referenced in the Facebook post and then send us that link so we can do, we verify everything that we get. Producer Donna has a real rigorous system to it and is really appreciated. But we love everything y'all send in. If you send more engineering content, I'm going to love it. So let's get into the Wholesome Notes. Our first article in Wholesome Notes we called 3 Lost Scotsmen in a Boat. And I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Becky says, yes, not just a picture. Yes, that too. Don't send us a picture of news. Send us news. 139 days. 3 Scottish brothers set a record for fastest row across the Pacific. This was published to NPR on August 30th of 2025 by the Associated Press. 3 Scottish brothers set a world record Saturday for completing the fastest unsupported row across the full Pacific Ocean. Jamie, Ewan, and Lachlan McLean completed the journey in 139 days, arriving in Cairns, Australia. They rowed over 9,000 miles nonstop from Peru, becoming the first team to achieve the full crossing from South America to Australia. That is 9,000 miles on an ocean that doesn't care about you. And 3 brothers did it in a dinghy. Looking at their boat, that is insane. The trio from Edinburgh endured storms, seasickness, injuries, and violent storms, including one that swept Lachlan overboard while raising over £700,000 or $945,690 toward a £1 million or £1 million pound or $1,350,450 target for clean water projects. The 3 rowed into the Cairns Marlin Marina, playing the bagpipes and waving the Scottish, Australian, and United Kingdom flags. More than 50 family members, supporters, and fans, including their mother Sheila, greeted the brothers. In the hours before their arrival, the eldest brother, Ewan, uploaded a video calling the marina ahead of their approach. Do you have pizza and beer? I repeat, do you have pizza and beer? Over. The 33-year-old said the journey was the hardest thing he had ever done, one he would have never contemplated without his siblings. We've shed tears of joy and laughed till our cheeks hurt, he said. Middle brother Jamie, 31, said things began to look dire towards the end. We seriously thought we might run out of food, he said. The McLeans said the experience gave them a new perspective on life. They plan to continue fundraising as they aim to fund projects that provide clean water to 40,000 people living in Madagascar through the brothers' charity, the McLean Foundation. The previous record for the fastest full unassisted non-stop Pacific row was 160 days, set by Russian solo rower Fyodor Konyukov in 2014. To 3 brothers, 3 Scottish brothers, who set a record for the fastest row across the Pacific and raised some, what was the number again? $945,690 towards clean water projects. Cheers. That's utter insanity. We don't have a title for that. That one's nuts. That beer is taking the edge off of the AI. All right, last article of the night. We called this one Music to My Ears. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Row, row, row your dinghy, says Becky. I heard a bug. Julie says, rowing towards insanity. All right, here we go. This superintendent 3D prints violins in her office so every student can play in the orchestra. They cost just $50 each. This was published on August 19th of 2025 on goodgoodgood.co by Cameron Baker. No, producer Donna, I'm not even going to read that one out loud. No. Dr. Laura Jacob, superintendent of the California Area School District in Cole Center, Pennsylvania, has 30 3D printers in her office. While she does enjoy 3D printing as a hobby, these printers represent a mission much greater than Jacob alone. They are used to print violins for low-income students. For schools, violins can cost $500 to $2,000 each, representing hundreds of dollars in rental fees per family each school year. For the students attending schools in Jacob's district, that's just not a cost their families can afford. Over 70% of our students are low income, so this means 100% of our students receive a free breakfast and free lunch every single day, Jacob told CBS News. Regardless, she was determined to keep arts education alive for the students she serves. After seeing a video of the Ottawa Symphony Orchestra playing 3D printed instruments, a passion took hold. I started tinkering. I found some models online. I'm not a computer scientist or an engineer by any means, but after a variety of failures, I found one that actually printed, and it sounded good. It's a great start for kids, Jacob told CBS News. Each violin costs just $50 to make, and they are now offered free to any student who wants one, thanks to grant funding. Plus, they're perfect for beginners. How it sounds, how it responds is a bit different, music teacher and band director Noah Kilgus told Kidsburg. Although they don't sound exactly like a traditional wooden string instrument, they are just as loud, much more durable, and are easy to tune. You know, if they break, it's not a big deal. I can print the new part, Jacob told WESA. And to me, getting kids hands-on instruments is what gets them engaged in music. And so the more instruments I can get in kids' hands, the happier I am. I think back to when I started in band so many years ago with the clarinet. Because I wanted to play the saxophone, because I watched The Simpsons at an early age, and I wondered how to get to playing the saxophone. Well, you've got to start with the clarinet. And my parents going out and getting me a clarinet and then a saxophone was just something else. You know, getting an instrument and playing in a band. And it was an amazing experience, and I am just touched that this superintendent is trying to make that dream a reality for so many students by 3D printing these things. You think about everything that goes into a violin, and yes, that $500 to $2,000 price tag, with the kind of the assault that's going on our school, on our education system, and things getting cut like band and arts like this. You've got to think outside the box, and this superintendent really did. It's very accessible, which is what music making should be about, Kilgus added. It's an opportunity for them to just experience and be exposed to music making, even if it's not at the highest level. So far, Jacob has printed 200 instruments, now teaching a weekly 3D violin club. Each violin is made in about 3 days, with modified guitar pegs, real violin strings, and a wooden violin bridge and center rod, all attached to a plastic body. Kids joyfully learn the basics of their instruments on pink, purple, green, and blue companions. Becky says, I played the clarinet, but I wanted to play the flute. Ethan says, we need a live of you playing the sax. I haven't in a little while, but I keep saying I'm going to bust that thing out. I'm going to have to. I really should. I think everything is still good on it. I checked the pads not too long ago. All I've got to do is go down to like Myra Music and pick up a reed or two. So, yeah, I probably should get back into it, shouldn't I? Thank you, Ethan. Ooh, pink, says Becky. If you look in the article, there's a picture of one of the students with a pink violin, and it is adorable. Nico says, I played the flute, hated it, wanted to do bit instruments like bells and drums, etc. Becky says, do it! Oh, pit instruments. Yep. Nico wanted to be in the pit, down in the trenches, playing the percussion. Each violin is made in about 3 days with... Oh, wait, I think I already read that one. Yeah, I did. All right, here we go. Usually you don't get to pick the color of your violin, but if you're lucky, you will, one 4th grade student told WESA. And then after you play violin for 3 years, then you get a wooden violin on your 3rd year. The students get to play on a wooden violin over time, growing into a more traditional and formal music education as they advance in their studies. That is amazing. Another student expressed interest in playing the cello, and now Jacob is expanding her catalog, albeit slowly, as she and the student attempt to learn how to play the new design together. With the obvious cost benefit, the colorful foray into music classes boosts confidence for students too. I feel like it makes you smarter because you have to learn notes and how long to put it on and what they mean, student Allie Neal told CBS News. I feel like it makes you a better student because if I can play the violin, I can do anything, student Evie Dentino added. For Jacob, just getting students to appreciate music makes it all worth it. It's that moment when you see them smile like that smile that comes out as they're starting to play and then create that sound themselves, Jacob told CBS News. The office, jam-packed with printers, is a small price to pay for that. I want to make sure that we do whatever it takes to put instruments in kids' hands. Whatever instrument they want, we want to put it in their hands, Jacob told WESA. And this is one way to do it. That is amazing. To Dr. Laura Jacob, Superintendent of the California Area School District in Cole Center, Pennsylvania, for 3D printing 200 violins to date and still going so that kids can get a chance to make music. Cheers. That's practically a Not All Heroes Wear Capes article. That is really good. That's about it for us tonight. 6 amazing articles. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode is going to be on September 7th of 2025, and it is going to be a cool news episode. That's right, we have been accumulating cool news ever since our last cool news episode, a lot of which producer Donna has found, and a lot of which y'all have sent in. So we are going to show off some of that cool news on our next episode. I encourage participation. We encourage participation. So, by all means, if you feel inclined, you can message us suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and especially good news articles and cool news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you send in a bunch of articles, please spread them across our 4 major categories, which again are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice touchy-feely articles we like to end on, like 3D printing violins for students. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our Facebook and Instagram pages, our Facebook and YouTube videos to get good news and joy out in the algorithm. Please, no SEO improvement advertisements. You can message us on Facebook, Instagram, email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description. I can't thank you all enough for everything that you do. All of your interaction with our content is what continues to drive our numbers up, continues to spread our good news and our hope core into the algorithms across everything, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and it really has been amazing. 9 years of Nick's News. We haven't always been doing good news, but we certainly love to do it, and we're gonna keep doing it. And we thank you all so much for being there with us along the way and continuing to build Nick's News into an amazing source for good news. So I thank you all again. I love you all. Have a great night. 9 years and counting. I will play us out.